Can you feel it? That we are in this pressure cooker. The pressure is building all over the world, that larger global stage, but also mirroring in our own individual lives. This pressure that continues to build, that will not let go, because a change must happen. This pressure that is building and building and building until the spring finally unloads that pressure, that tension, and rocket ship, taking us into this new future, this awakening of humanity. That is why things are feeling so intense. Again, in the world, as we're really witnessing structures and institutions, our governments, these old traditions that are dissolving, that are crumbling because they're not actually working. And there is a resonance, a mirror that is happening in our own individual lives. Where have we taken on this distortion of traditions, of these beliefs, especially around our worth and our value? And it's like they're all coming up to the surface right now to be seen. That is the energy of June 2026, bringing us into July of this year, but it's not even going to stop there. This is the gong, the beat, the reverberation that will be continuing over this next couple years, as well as into the next 18 years with Pluto in Aquarius. So I'm going to be bringing you along, helping you to understand the astrology that we are in, as well as this Capricorn full moon that we have coming up on June 29th and 30th. So if that sounds good to you, please stick around. Please tune in. This is not going to be a short video because we are in the thick of this great reset of humanity. 6,000 years of tradition, of these beliefs that are in our morphogenetic field, that our souls remember and that we have been born into again this lifetime. So we're really going deep in letting go of all these roots of patriarchy, this distortion, this imbalance between the masculine and the feminine energies. It's a lot. So I'm very grateful that you are here, and I'm grateful that you are willing to be open and curious to understand what is happening in our world, why, and then the next bigger question of how the hell do we work with what we have in front of us. My name is Chrissy Whistler. I am an embodied evolutionary astrologer, and my intention with this video and with the individual one-on-one readings I offer is to bring you those answers. Why is this happening, and how can I work with it? Work with these energies so we can start to build this new future, this new society. So if you want to have support in your life for yourself and your unique experience, please go to my website, chrissywhistler.com. I offer again these astrology readings, intuitive readings, channelings, and so much more. I will be offering a very, first for me, but very unique chance to tune into these astrologies especially around this new theme of authenticity that we as humanity are going to be leaning into, learning for this next 18 months as the lunar nodes move into the Aquarius Leo polarity. So breaking down all of that, what that means, and then following up for those who are interested in a group quantum healing session, which my dearest friends and sisters, Katie Gilmore and Tara Whitaker, will be holding that space with me. So tune in, because that larger group field is coming. And if you find this video helpful, please do me a big support, a big service by hitting that like button. There's a lot of things happening with social media algorithms, and not just for the smaller channels like me, but even the larger ones. So every time you do that helps so much. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and please share this with anyone you feel these messages will resonate with. It really helps me so much. And please feel free to share your experience, your story. Leave a comment below so me and everyone else can witness you and what you are going through. Because I have no doubt you're going through a lot. Because that is the astrology of these times, where we cannot go in the direction that we were going any longer. The stuff that we've really put up with and just like, you know what, well, I'll just sweep that under the rug. I'm not going to look at it. Or it's going to cause way too much tension and hassle to deal with, so I'm just going to let that slide. No more. We are not going to be able to do that any longer. That is why, one of the reasons why this tension is building, and it will not let go until humanity wakes the fuck up to itself, to see itself for what it truly is. All the stuff that's been buried under the rug has to come up to be seen. And as it does, there is this awakening process that is happening. And this is why there's so much of the dissolving of illusions and this recognizing that what our systems, our societies, our cultures, traditions, governments are built on, a lot of this is really old shit. And we're really kind of done with that old story, especially that story of the top-down authority model. Whoever has the most money, the most power, the most resources gets to control everybody else. That shit is not flying anymore. This is part of why it's so restless. It's so revolutionary. This is the time of the pioneers, of that dissolving of those old structures that were like, no, this actually isn't working. What I'm very much speaking to is the energy and the archetype of Uranus. Uranus is in Gemini now and has been squaring the moon's nodes exactly since June 12th. And that square is going to be continuing. That tension is continuing to build. Uranus is also the ruler of Aquarius, where Pluto now is. And they are going to be coming into their exact trine, the first hit of this, in July. Let me see, I've got the dates for you. July 18th. We're also going to have an exact sextile with Uranus and Neptune on July 15th. What I'm meaning by giving you these dates is there's a longer story and cycle that's at play. So there's the 6,000-year reset that I've been talking so much about. That is that Neptune-Saturn conjunction on the Aries point that happened February 20th. This full moon, which I will get to in a moment, is highlighting that energy big time. There's going to be an illumination, especially around anything Capricorn, society, governments, structures, even structures of our consciousness. We're going to have an illumination, a full moon effect where we can see it for what it really is. And then also, we are coming into this energy from the 60s. You know, the civil rights, gender equality, this war, peace dynamic, as well as deception from governments around that, and being truthful to the people. So there is this seed planting moment that happened in the 60s that is now beginning to blossom, and we're going to really start to see it, to feel it. It's been anchoring in the silence, in the quiet, where you couldn't really see it. But now as we come deeper into July, like this spring is going off. It is going to be unloading this energy, this freeing up of tension to break through that glass ceiling. And we don't know where it is going to take us. That is the dimensional shattering energy between Uranus and Pluto, Uranus and Gemini, Pluto and Aquarius. We are going someplace incredibly new and different. But first, there is a need to see humanity for what it actually is. So that is this backdrop of these energies and why that pressure building is so tough and is not letting go. So we cannot stay in the old patterns any longer. How we may have been defaulting in relationships, maybe even in codependency, or how we have seen ourselves as less than others, or the reverse, where we see ourselves as better than other people. We can really see that here in the United States as well as other parts in the world with this rising up of white supremacy. But again, where you live, there might even be a reverse of some of those dynamics. It's going to be very country culture specific. So see how this links in and fits for you. And I would love, again, any ideas, reflections in the comments from your experience and what you're seeing. I'm just speaking to a fractal that's going to go very, very deep in all these different ways, because it's not just about what's happening here in the US, although I will be speaking to it because of the ignition that the United States will be playing, and very highlighted as well at this full moon. Like, whew, talk about some fireworks that are coming. All right, so this, how we see ourselves, you know, being the butler, for example, and that is our only role and job. Like, we just don't matter. We've humbled ourselves too far. That is some of those shadow dynamics from the South Node in Virgo, the South Node of the moon, that we have been having to clear through and clear out. And then, as I said, on the other end, there are people who actually need to learn to be more humble. They need to have their own fall from grace. So this is very much playing out global. We can see it. Global stage. This is also reflected in our internal worlds, our internal experiences. This is a very eruptive time. This is seismic. This is explosive. Again, there's that tension that is building. Whenever we have these hard aspects to Uranus, this tension, and we have Mars that is approaching Uranus and will be exact on July 4th. Seismic, sudden eruptions. Absolutely. And of course, we are seeing this with the devastation in Venezuela with the 2 over 7 earthquakes that hit, and the loss of life, that death toll will continue to rise, even into that tens of thousands. So it's not unexpected to see such, again, seismic eruptions, disruptions, these sudden moments where we are experiencing trauma in some way. Uranus. These kinds of experiences, and I have a sense that more will be coming just from the astrology alone. This is how we are being called back into our hearts. North Node in Pisces, where there can be these natural disasters, Uranus squaring the nodes. And it is our hearts being ripped open to remember that we are actually all one, that we are all human. And it's sadly, it can be through these disruptions, these devastating natural events that bring us back into that space, that call us back into true goodness, true love, true humanity. So it's almost necessary to see these experiences on more than one level, to acknowledge the human loss and that pain and that suffering, and then to also see the larger story. I'm being shown like a weaving in the tapestry, like it has its place and purpose for why these events happen. This greater divine flow, this greater soul story where all of humanity's souls are coming in, and we're part of that weaving. So I just wanted to take a real moment to acknowledge the reality of that. And see, you can even hear my hesitation. It's like more than likely there will be other experiences like this. I also do follow Space Weather and Stefan Burns on YouTube. So space weather, again, these seismic journeys, and it's like, oh yeah, there's even looking at it from the science and the relationship between the sun and the earth as we are coming into, we're in solar maximum that is descending, and as we move into that descending phase and go into solar minimum, that's when these larger earthquakes can really pop off, especially when we have such a supercharged ionosphere. And then just energetically what Mother Earth is going through in her own transformation, and this shaking free, literally, of these older dense energies and human stories. So it is all linked together, even as it's also heartbreaking. So again, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and to speak to that. And sadly, it is very clear in the astrology that this kind of experience can be happening and will probably continue. This pressure, now let's start to even look at it from a more individual level. where the way we've been going, we can't keep doing it any longer. That's this divine discontent of Uranus. This isn't going to work. It's going to continue to build that tension, that restlessness, until you get to a point where you say, no more. It's either a choice point, which we are all having, to go into the group think, to do what the group wants to do, or to really embrace this unique journey that you are on, that your soul is on. Clearing that energy. I could really feel that coming through. And where you have these old patterns that have said, no, don't be your unique self, don't be authentic, don't go to the beat of your own drum, that's where that restlessness is going to happen. And it's going to continue to build till you get to that point of, you need to make a choice where you lose yourself and do what the group or the relationship is asking you to do, or you just embrace yourself and you step onto this new road, this new path where you probably don't know where it's going to take you. I actually had an experience recently with the homeschool group, this network that I run. And this has been going on for over 25 years. And every Wednesday, again, for over 25 years, they would meet. And I found myself trying to continue that tradition going, to build a community the way it had been in the past, which when I had started, all these families were coming together, all ages, but it became like I was pushing a boulder up the hill, trying to convince people that this actually is what they wanted. Like, they're all yearning for community and connection, but then nobody would show up and nobody would buy into it with their time and their energy. And although it had been moments of being really beautiful and supportive and meeting great people, I still felt that I was very often being taken advantage of, or not being acknowledged and seen for what I was giving. And it finally, again, that pressure built, and it got to this point, and I showed up and there was no one else there. And there were like 3 other families who said they were going to be there, and one in particular. And I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. My kids aren't like happy. They show up and they feel dread because they're going to be there and no one else is there. And how is that fair to them? How is this fair to me to continually let others take advantage of me? And I'm actually even speaking to that south node of the moon in Virgo, where I'm just the butler and I just have to keep doing and being of service. And it's like, no, wait a minute. I actually need to have better boundaries. If I want to go see the Michael movie today, instead of being here at this park, I should go see the Michael movie. And actually, that's what I did, is I finally said, enough is enough. And I wrote a post sharing my feelings and where I've been coming from and what I've been giving, and saying, I cannot hold the space for this whole community any longer. I am not doing it. I am taking a break. And so it wasn't even just I, for myself, needed to speak. I needed to speak for myself and make my boundaries very, very clear. So how are you seeing that in your life, where you are needing to make your boundaries clear, Virgo? Where we're not just giving and being of service. It's like, wait a minute, you matter too. How is that showing up for you in your life? this valuing of ourselves is going to continue to heighten. This is Chiron in Taurus, where our ideas of worth and value are going to go through a healing process, especially if you happen to have Chiron in Taurus, like I do. So just know that this restless, this disruptive energy is going to be continuing, and we're going to keep seeing it on that larger world stage as well as within our individual lives. So let's start to look now at our Capricorn full moon. This is going to be at 8 degrees of Capricorn, 14 minutes. So see where that falls in your birth chart. And if you don't know where that is and you would like to know what is being illuminated in your life and why, please go to my website and schedule that one-on-one birth chart astrology reading with me. So Capricorn, okay, this is going to be a very big moon illuminating everything with our governments, our society, how things are wrong. This is consensus society. This is where all, the human collective came together and agreed to these set of rules. That's consensus society. We are going to see very clearly what is not working. Very, very clearly. So the moon is conjunct Ixion, the dwarf planet. Now, my goodness. So the moon and Ixion are together. They are being ruled by Saturn. Saturn is square to this full moon along with Neptune. I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to bring in some of the dwarf planets as I go forward. So, oh my gosh. And then Saturn will be stationing retrograde at the end of the month. So when I say we are going to really see very clearly the stuff of society, of governments, of our structures that are not working, we are really going to see it. I mean it. And it's not just going to be a one hit at this full moon. We're going to be seeing this reflection very strongly while Saturn is retrograde. So again, just think of this as another hit of the gong. We're being called back to ourselves. The moon with Ixion. Ixion is asking us, are the rules that we're playing by of society, Capricorn, the right rules? That is this fundamental question being asked of us. Now, Ixion at this lower level and expression is, some traditions are good things. There are some rules of society that are really good, healthy rules, and we should keep them. Ixion, in his myth, his lower octave expression, he was really not a good guy. He was invited his father-in-law to his home, murdered him. Zeus decided to give him a second chance. So Ixion shows up and then tries to rape Hera. That's not the kind of stuff that you do. When you're invited to someone's home, you treat them and the people there with respect. You don't try to do these very criminal things. So, okay. I think we can agree that those are rules that we should have in place. But then there are rules that are not so good, that we actually need to let go of. And I'm going to give you a really silly kind of story, especially with these societal rules that we have. I remember when I was a kid, we had my older cousin over for dinner, and we had Chinese food. We almost never got Chinese food, so it was a big deal. And my mom asked, does anybody want the last egg roll? And I was like, I do. And so I just went right in and I took it. And my mom looked at me and she was like, you weren't meant to take it. And I'm like, what do you mean? You offered, does anybody want the last one? And I said, yes, because I did want it. The societal rule that I did not know and hadn't been taught was you offer what is left over, the last one, to your guest. And as a kid, I'm just like, this is stupid. Why did you say what you did if you didn't actually mean it? So that is a rule that we probably should, amend, where you're like, hey, guest, would you like the last egg roll, rather than pretending that you're offering it up to everybody. So that is a societal, social rule that I think is actually pretty stupid. Or we should at least change our approach. So really see how this is showing up in you, especially at this emotional level. That's what the moon really is it's going to be very emotional, this illumination, inner feelings, our inner child, and is that being allowed to fit in society. And of course, this is a larger story of human evolution, which that has not been honored or allowed to have that space. There has been that distortion of the patriarchy, that power over dynamic, where it's the authority, the people in power with money and control who matter. Nobody else matters, just those ones at the top. So very, very highlighted at this moon. We are going to really see this illumination around who are the shitty, deceitful people who only care about themselves. That's Ixion, lower octave. Ixion only cared about his own desires, his own passions and pleasures, didn't care about anyone else. So that overly dominated, egocentric, I'm the only one that matters, is not a great place to be. We actually need to care about us and care about other people. That was the lesson that Ixion in the myth wasn't able to learn. So just know that we're going to be seeing this, that particular dynamic playing out. And of course, we will be seeing that on the global stage, here in the US in particular. No doubt about it. Okay. So this moon and the sun are actually in halfway. The angles that they're making are halfway between Saturn and Neptune, which, as I spoke about, is that great reset.
Yeah.
This is going to be an illumination of what is needing to be dissolved and how those are even doubling down into the delusion to continue to hold on to their consciousness, their structures of consciousness, that Saturn. So yeah, there's going to be some real huge revelations and reverberations that are coming through all through July, you guys, and definitely into August, which is our eclipse season. So this is going to be shaking the foundations of a whole lot of people, again, in the world, but just know that this is a mirror of our own inner selves, and where have we held these different dynamics, and what do we need to let go of? We need to start to go into the new. We need to let go and to dissolve the things that actually aren't working, especially around society, especially. Okay. Another of the areas that are really highlighted around this this full moon, with all of these aspects that are here, is this question of leadership. What does it mean to be a leader? This is society envisioning a new kind of leader, new qualities of leadership that are starting to come online. This is what is awakening within ourselves. And as we start to see, as I said, the shitty, deceitful leaders who only care about themselves, that's that lower energy of Ixion. As we start to see that pressure building, that clarity, that sort of truth, Uranus is the energy of awakening. It is forcing us to see this. As we start to see that truth for what it is, there is this new rise that's happening of these new leaders, people who are going to be embodying these new qualities that are not like the past. They're the ones that are going to be helping us to bring forward into that future. And certainly at a country level, this is going to be like the collective, the people, wherever that is for you. The people are going to be calling forward those new leaders, carrying these new visions. So it's like a real collective dance with those new leaderships. That as we see what we don't, Uranus can be first recognizing what we don't know or we don't like before we find out what it is that we do. Like that is almost how this process of awakening is coming. Like, no, this actually isn't okay. Like we may not know where it is we want to go, but we know we don't want that old thing. That's how we're going to see this really manifesting first, and then the leaders rising up from that space. As I said, this new leadership, like this is a breaking down of leadership of the past 6,000 years. This is when we went into that descent of the Kali Yuga as well, like this rising of patriarchy, this, distortion of the age of Taurus, this feminine earth wisdom. Like we've been moving through that. Now we're going to start to coming out the other side, even as we don't know what it means yet. That's part of what we are learning and reconnecting with. What does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be a good leader? We are also, I'm going to start to bring in some of the other dwarf planets because Saturn is conjunct Lilith La Kahuna as well as Celestia, and Pallas Athena is there too. So we are tapping into this multi-dimensional, multi-navigational system. It's not just about our five senses anymore. There's something new that is coming online that goes even beyond things like telepathy and light language. It is like the light within ourselves is shimmering outwards and is going to be part of our presence and our authority as leaders, as these way showers, into these new paths. This is very much the energy of Celestia and Aries with Saturn. Like, we don't know where we're going. And yet we also do. And that direction is coming in from ways that we can't easily express because our conscious consensus society doesn't have language and words for that yet. Like that's what's breaking down, and this deeper intuition, this instinct is coming back online, and the invitation is, will you follow that? So are you noticing that in your life? How is that coming through for you? Are you feeling this call of leadership? Or are you feeling these new gifts that you can't quite explain, these new sensitivities coming online? Now, this is also being linked with Uranus and Sedna, so it's not just this one aspect. It's very clear in the astrology that we're We're being guided into this new path and this new direction. Like, this is happening. This is those deeper energies of the dwarf planets that are going beyond consensus reality. We are tapping into that multi-dimensional realm and remembering that that is actually who we are, and we are connected to it. I'm also speaking about Maki Maki. Maki Maki is part of this cardinal grand cross being illuminated at this full moon. Maki Maki is at 10 degrees of Libra. So this is a complete system update to our species and our understanding of the cosmos, especially as it relates to this natural order of things, this realigning back to natural law and our place within the earth and her systems. As we see the truth of society in this sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, we are going to really see these other energies, those multi-dimensional, multi-navigational systems that we didn't even know that we had. It's like, okay, society, this is the truth of society. We are seeing that, and through seeing it, we are able to go into the fractal of ourselves to update our species consciousness into something new. Can't quite say we know how we're getting there, and yet it is our instincts that is taking us there. So how are you being called to tune in and listen right now? Where are you being guided to go? What new path are you meant to walk? How are you meant to step into your own power and authority as a leader? To allow your own shimmering light, this light of your soul, of who you are, to come through. Can you imagine if we saw our leaders in that way? Where we actually started to align with those leaders who are being guided and led by their hearts. Not the egos, not the need to accumulate wealth and power, to have that control over dynamic Saturn, Capricorn, but instead coming from within. That is what we are stepping into right now. That is this new energy that is coming online brick by brick as we build this new path into the future. I mentioned that the US will be front and center stage at this Capricorn full moon, and it will be. We have the sun. Of course, we are coming into our birthday here, our 250th birthday. So the sun is coming up to its own natal point. This full moon is also highlighting Jupiter and Venus in Cancer. The moon, transiting moon at this full moon, is going to be conjunct Eris. We're also in our Uranus return, and we will have transiting Uranus and Mars like exact on July 4th. Like, it's just, I could make a whole video, and at some point I will, about the story of the United States and what we're going through. I won't, because that's a whole other segment in itself. But I will just say that this is huge. This is going to be this massive revolution of ideas, new visions coming through, this need to really clean up what we're holding right now. And we're going to see exactly what it is that we need to clean up, that we need to make atonements for, so we can realign back to that original intention of the Declaration of Independence of the people of the United States of America. So I will say that the Supreme Court and the decisions it's made this week, the decisions that we are expecting to come next week. I'm hearing next week. They're big ones, and even the court itself is playing a role to see what is broken, right? This is an illumination of Capricorn, of these systems, these people who we did not vote for, and yet they have the power over us and are taking away, gutting our rights. And this has been a long time coming, but now again, it's part of that pressure that's building. So that is why it's like you can't not see. I'm speaking about the United States, but this is equally true everywhere in the world, whether at your government, country level, or in your life. The pressure is building, forcing you to see, forcing us to see these truths of our countries and our governments. So it's like the shitty level is going to extreme. Even like with me, and as I shared my homeschool experience, it was like, okay, I can't do this any longer and still honor myself and stay in my own integrity. That's what's happening. That pressure is building, and that is equally true with what's happening in the Supreme Court. So I am expecting some decisions that are absolutely going to be taking away the rights of the American people. That is necessary. That is that Uranus disruptive, revolutionary energy, the people rising up and to say, no, this is not okay. So just, I'll leave that there for now, but there is a lot that's coming, and it is playing its part. I wish it wouldn't. I wish it didn't have to, but we got to go through it sometimes. July, very, very fast-paced, very eruptive, very shocking. That is what is happening. That is what is coming. I am very much expecting the spark that ignites the grenade to go off. And I do feel like it's going to be more than one, but there's something big is coming. We are going to be called back into our authenticity and our hearts. That is what happens, is Jupiter is going to be entering Leo on June 30th. So really just a few hours after this full moon, Jupiter enters Leo and will be it is now, but it will be even closer in this opposition to Pluto through August. So there is this full moon illumination of this truth around people and groups and being our unique, authentic selves and shining our light, or group think, hive mind. There is a demand from Pluto to see the shadows that we don't want to see. So kind of expect there's something big that will also be coming through with that. This is also bringing in the energy of Varuna. So there is a need to claim our authority, our sovereignty. We're really going to feel that. Jupiter will be square to Chiron. It is now, but it will continue to be square. And there is that, the wounding of our worth and our value. And has that been honored in our world and our society? Unless it's, again, money, fame, power, success, it's probably not. especially if you are sensitive, if you are empathic, if you are an old soul, who you are and what you hold probably hasn't been valued, at least the way it should have been on a larger scale. So this is all coming up. We have Neptune going retrograde on July 7th. Mars is going to be in Gemini. And then we have Mercury going retrograde. And then the moon's nodes move, they switch into the next polarity. Like this is high rocking times. So know that it's coming. Know that it's going to be intense. Make sure you take a breath as you need to disconnect from that world. The information that can be overwhelming and overloading your nervous system. You need to take care of you, and you need to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. Emotionally process what is happening, what you are feeling, your grief, your anger, whatever it is. Give yourself that space. Come back to you. Find your center and anchor there. Anchor into your heart. That is how you can move through this time and these experiences. We are going to be experiencing quantum leaps, timeline jumping, timeline compressing in July. There's this opportunity to really heal these old traumas. That's that energy of Uranus, trauma. But in order to heal, oftentimes we have to re-experience the trauma. To go through that moment of freeze, of disassociation in order to return these fragmented parts back to ourselves. This is how it will lead us into this, as I said, healing, but it's also metamorphosis. This complete transcendence, Sedna, at a DNA level, Pluto. So you taking that time to feel what you need to feel, to sit still and to recognize what in that boat you are holding on to that's actually not safe, that you need to let go of. As you do that inner work within yourself, you will transcend. And those old broken parts, that's where this metamorphosis is going to occur. And really light the way, light that, that shimmering light of who you are to step into being this new kind of leader. So it's like we're having to experience and to go through this hard work, Saturn, of our dissolving world. We have to do it. We cannot skip over this part. This healing and this reintegration of our soul fragments is seeing these rules, these traditions and expectations of society. How has that been broken? How is breaking? And as it breaks, as it dissolves, we're able to let go, to see the truth for what it is, to go through that change. And it is by going through that process that it's going to lead us into the other side, into this new future that we don't know what it is, and yet we can feel it. You can feel this new vision that is being created, even as the world is falling apart. And things that we have held on so strongly, that we have believed in our society or in ourselves, as that crumbles, that's how we're able to actually reconnect to these new questions. And even about ourselves, like, who are we? Who are you really? As those old masks, those old cloaks that you had to wear to play the game of your culture and your country, as that falls away, you have this opportunity to meet yourself for the first time and to really embrace this authenticity of who you are. That is this energy that we're stepping into, this healing journey and accountability of our own parts, our own stories, because we've contributed to this world as well. Being accountable and then stepping into being the change. And that is this energy of July, this initiation back into our authentic selves, even as we may not know who that is yet. I do hope that this message has been helpful for you. I will be doing a separate video of some of the channeled messages that were coming through as I was sitting in and tuning in with these full moon energies, as well as for the United States. So please look out for those videos and let me know what you think so I can figure out how I want to continue those or not. You know, I don't quite know what to do with them, but I do want to offer those to you because they are quite powerful, channeled from my spirit guides to you. And if you do find you're needing support, please reach out. You can go to my website. You can have your own birth chart reading and receive astrological counseling about your life. If you found this video helpful, please give it that thumbs up. Please share it. Please let me know in the comments below how you are doing. What is being illuminated for you around those themes of Capricorn that you are seeing and ready to let go of. Thank you all so much for being here, for tuning in. I am so grateful to you. Take care, and I will see you at the next new moon. Bye-bye.